Hey guys, I'm recording 5-minute video right now, and I'm playing Brent Musburger. I should know who that guy is, something sports related. A couple weeks back I played Peyton Manning on chess.com, or not chess.com, ICC, and maybe this guy's related. Let's go bishop g4 and attack his queen. I'll just play e6 with an eye towards playing perhaps c5, but he beat me to the punch. He beat me to the punch. Let's go bishop d6. This is kind of a weird move, but I think it's okay. Brent Musburger. Someone's going to tell me in the comments who Brent Musburger is. As well they should. Let's take. And then I'm going to play a6 when he recaptures. I kind of wanted to wait for him to move his bishop to take on c4, but I don't think it's necessary. Let's put the knight on c6 now. Usually you don't want to put your knight in front of your pawn like that, but I think it's okay in this case because his b4 square is weakened. Anything wrong with e5 now? Not that I see. He can play d5. But then I have good options. Let's just go rook a d8. Make sure I'm not losing something with that. Oh, I might. Rook a d8, he takes on e5 with the knight. I take e2, he takes c6. That's not good. Oh no, okay, never mind. I think this is okay. Because if he takes with the knight, I take with my knight. If he takes on g4, I can take with the e knight. And if he doesn't take on g4, instead takes on e5, I can take with the bishop with a discovered attack on his queen. So that should be all fine. Which way? Let's do it this way. Queen b3 makes sense.
Check.
Take. Try to weaken his king. So his kingside structure is a little weak, but so is my queenside structure. It's probably a wash, all things considered. Let's go. Can't go bishop e5. I don't really want to take on d6, but I might have to. Know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play bishop b4 and avoid a trade for now. Queen c4. Let's just support that piece. King g2. Let's just simplify. Not a whole lot going on at the moment. Maybe bishop h4 for him. Prefers knight e4. Okey-doke, let's trade. Takes with a pawn. Interesting. Let's stake out some space. Queen d7 seems solid. Yeah, not a whole heck of a lot going on. I'm resisting the temptation to speculate on who's better in this endgame, because I genuinely don't know. I mean, I want to say that I'm slightly better, but that's just speculation. Can I go here? Okay, let's invade. My king safety is a concern. I can pick up the A pawn. But is it worth it? Is it worth the risk? Probably not. Let's just go back. So if I take there, I was kind of put off by some e6 or queen d7 stuff. His queen gets very close to my king. My queen is ideally placed on f5. So long as b7 doesn't become too weak, this is fine. Queen f4, okay. Once again, let's just bring this in again. If he plays queen d4, I can maybe try for a win, but not really seeing it. Bishop f8, perhaps. Bishop f8. You know, let's try bishop f8. I don't know if I should be doing this just because of the time situation, but let's see how this ends up. I'm just trying to defend my king a bit better. Let's just start pushing our pawns on this wing. Plus, it's a video. I can't just agree a lame draw on video. I fight for you guys. I kind of think at some point he needs to play e6. But the timing of that will be tricky for him, because he needs his queen on the square. Okay, against that, let's give a check here.
Check.
Just force him back. And decide how we want to take. Let's just take that way. And go here. I like the square, because it monitors e6, and I can still push my pawns. I mean, very simply, I'm just going to go b4, a4, a3. I might not even have to win the b2 pawn necessarily, because e6 is his only way of getting at my king for the moment, I think. Okay, he could play e6 now, but I take with the queen. Even pawn takes is okay. Yeah, he's hurting here. He probably needs to move his king. But if he moves his king, like king h2, it's no big deal. Okay, I'm just going to take this guy. And after e6, I'm going to play queen here.
Check.
Okay. It's even material. But.
Check.
But.
Check. Time warning.
Okay, I'm winning. I am winning now, except I need to play quickly. Let's go here first. Force him to play e5. What can I do to win this? Work my bishop around and attack that pawn. E6 and then here. Yeah, that works. Then go here. Just queen. Okay. Nice queen and bishop ending. In retrospect, I'm glad I went for the win. That's easy to say when I actually did win. I don't know if it was the best decision at the moment, though. In the moment. Let's go back. So it was a London system. Some people play the London with knight f3 first, and others just go the direct bishop f4. In the past, I played c5 in this position. That's a good move, too. I played it in a way I haven't tried before, which is, as I was saying, like taking and then putting the knight on c6. A little unusual. But as I described, I feel more comfortable doing this when his pawn is already on a4, because b4 might not be that bad of a square for my knight in the future. So it feels a little more secure. Sometimes, like I've heard this analogy that the queenside knight and the c-pawn are married, and the knight on c6 and the pawn on c7 represents an unhappy marriage, whereas having the pawn in front and the knight behind it is a happy marriage. So I'm violating that rule in this position, but I think with me aiming for e5 and again that b4 hole, I think I'm okay in doing this. So I advance e5. This happened. I don't think anything
Check.
was amiss here. This position I'm curious about after rook fd1, because I spent a little time. I probably spent too long on this move. Yeah, about 30 seconds. Because I really didn't want to have to take on g3. That's an obvious move, but I feel like if he takes this way, he strengthens his structure. Very cohesive structure. His king is super safe when he puts it on g2. Maybe at some point he'll even bring a rook over to h1 and try to get some sort of initiative. So I feel that would be a minor victory for him. But I can't come up with a decent move otherwise, because he is threatening to just trade everything on d6. So take, 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 and then this pawn is hanging at the end. So I have to get around that, and it's hard to do if I don't want to take on d6. I thought about bishop b8, but that just seems strange. I don't trust that move. So what I came up with was bishop b4. Let's see what the engine has to say. Okay, engine for a second was saying bishop b8. It says white's a little bit better here. That doesn't surprise me. It seems like a position that would be more comfortable to play as white. He's already got his rooks active. All of his pieces are reasonable. So it's not surprising. I don't know if queen c4 was that good of a move by him. He did this. And I just tried to trade to reduce some of the tension. Here, I thought bishop h4 might present me more problems and just go for a pin rather than the direct trade of knights. Because I feel like this is my worst piece right now. It doesn't have a lot of prospects. Certainly as it stands at the moment, it doesn't have many prospects. Maybe he was afraid of me capturing on c3, but I don't think I would have done that voluntarily, because I'd be hesitant to go into the ending with a knight versus bishop with the pawns on both sides of the board like this. So let's see what the engine has to say about that. Okay, well, the evaluation has shifted a little bit. Now says black is fine. So I wonder if he lost his edge when he played queen c4. Yeah, it says bishop h4 way back here. That's a good point, because even this probably would have been even stronger, huh? Because now he's threatening take, and I've got this dilemma with these pieces. And if I play a5, then knight e4, with some damage coming to the f6 square. Yeah, I didn't like queen c4. So we trade everything off.
Check.
We get into this endgame. And we trade this. Okay. This endgame looked roughly equal to me. I was saying in the game how I didn't want to speculate on who's better. right around here, once he had started advancing these pawns, somehow it felt like I was a little bit better, mainly because this bishop is out of the game, and I think I have more pawn targets to attack than he does. My weaknesses are essentially f7 and b7, and it's difficult for him to attack them. And he has all these pawns on dark squares, but b2 is sensitive, a4 is sensitive. His king is a little more open than mine. So that might add up to like a micro advantage for black. Yeah, very small advantage. Probably not one I can exploit if he plays well. So this happened. Brought the queen in. I was mentioning that e6 move. I thought that was a move he should go for at some point to gain counterplay. So if he does it here, okay, so he can go and win my b pawn. That would be good, because if he can liquidate his doubled e pawns, cause some structural damage, and still not lose a pawn in the process, that's a net win for him. Yeah, so e6 did look strong there. So we repeated. And I played bishop f8 eventually. The only thing that made me nervous about that was the time disadvantage. But I'm glad the computer says it is a good move, bishop f8. Now here, I just did b5. Looks like c5. Okay, it likes b5. Engine approves. Yeah, I felt I was really getting something at this point. Okay, I could just take on e4.
Check.
According to the computer. This does win a pawn. I didn't want to do it when his king was so close. Okay, I'm going to turn this engine off again. I'm sorry I keep clicking the engine on and off again in recent videos, but
check.
I think the engine is a useful tool, but it's got to be used sparingly. I know it's just so tempting to just put the engine on and immediately try to figure out the truth of the position, but I think it's more helpful to kind of alternate between engine off and on. So king g2. Yeah, here I took on on a4. What else crossed my mind? Because I did spend a little bit of time on that. I think it crossed my mind to take with a pawn, but I didn't like that he could take on c6. Although this is somewhat similar to the game, but in the game I had two pawns that were intact rather than doubled. This is also good, though, it seems. If he plays e6 here, I think I have queen d5. Keeps everything together with an advantage. Yeah, it's probably close to winning. So queen takes a4, take here, and then here. That's a powerful move because it just keeps everything under wraps. I defend the b pawn. I defend the e6 square, that all-important e6 square, so he can't get pawn to e6 in for free. Also, I attack his b2 pawn, and I have a real easy plan, as I was describing in the game, of just pushing. So he went here, pushed a4, queen e8. I wasn't expecting that move, but I think he might try here. It's difficult for him. It really is, because he desperately wants to play e6 and get his bishop to d6, but just always met by that. And even sometimes, I mean, pawn takes, as I was saying, was even better, or even acceptable as well, because this,
check.
I have this check. Somehow, I was thinking of some king move. Why was I thinking of that? Like, let's say king here. That would be interesting, because then the queen d5 check resource is ruled out. And let's say I just blindly push this pawn. Well, maybe now e6 makes sense, because after queen takes, he can take this pawn on a4. And he's got a new lease on life. He's probably fine. Yeah, so king h2. But I think this turned out to be a moot point because he didn't try it. But I think I can take on b2. And then if e6, I can take again, just be super greedy. And then after this
check.
Might be the problem for him. Yeah, take with check and I defend the bishop on f8. Decisive. Too many pawns for black. But along those same lines, I wonder if king g1 is a way around it. So same idea, get off the diagonal, but this time defend the f2 pawn. So again, let's say b4, then e6. Ah, but this one has the problem. Works fine again if queen takes e6, queen takes a4, right? Works fine. But do you guys see the problem with this one and having the king on g1? You can pause your video if you want to test yourself. What is black's best continuation? Okay, I believe the problem is f takes e6, and then if he continues bishop d6 as planned, I have queen d1.
Check.
Check. And I pick up the bishop. So that's very intriguing that both of his attempts to move the king, either to the back rank or to the side, have a problem associated with them. And let's just verify that with the engine. So let's say king h2. Yeah, engine says I can take, and then e6, we take. Okay, queen e8 he might have, but it's still like -4. Yeah, and then this
Check.
wins for black. And the other try, so a4, king g1. Okay, this one it says I can take on b2 as well. So take on b2, e6. I'm guessing because of that queen f6 move again. Let's see, take here. Queen c1 check. Okay, is this sufficient too? Maybe. Because the line we were looking at was b4, e6, yeah, fe. Yep, okay, so that's also good. Very strong for black. And this is king h2 again to renew that threat. But then queen takes b2 and we transpose to the other line. It's funny. Oh, he can take on a4 here, okay. But still, he's down that b pawn. Okay, so he ended up playing queen e8 in the game. I take b2, he goes e6, I get to bring my queen back.
Check.
He took here. Then I advance this pawn. It does seem like this is winning.
Check. Check.
Yeah. Guess maybe he would have done better to hide his king on h2, right? Yeah, that would be more tenacious, wouldn't it? Because now if I just go willy-nilly like this, he can avoid the queen trade and maybe cause problems for me because my king is open. Yeah, king f1 just allowed the queens to
Check.
immediately come off the board. Yeah, bishop e7. e4 is the only move because otherwise bishop f6 is just winning. Yeah. And from here I just had to figure out the best arrangement. I don't think he ever had a draw. f5. Yeah, I doubt that draws. Yeah. I'm just thinking of some wacky scenario where, like, somehow he could sack his bishop, win the g-pawn, and leave me with the h-pawn, because I would have the wrong color bishop to win this endgame. But I think that's a pretty far-fetched scenario. Bishop f6, e5, bishop g5, king f3, g6. g6? Why would I play g6? Computer thinks it's winning easily. Take, king g7. Okay. Yeah, and I guess I just come up and take, and eventually I'll win his e5 pawn. I can't say I would have found that in time pressure. But yeah, this position is winning for black. What did I do? I somehow like worked my bishop around and eventually, yeah, got him to play e5. Brought the king up. Yeah, I chose a pretty safe route to win too. Just get my bishop around, go win the f-pawn. Yeah, it's over. Okay, intriguing game. Getting a lot of interesting endgames lately. So, hope you guys enjoyed that one. And tomorrow, or actually today when you're watching this, I'll have 2 more videos out. This will be the first one for Friday. Hope you guys have a good weekend and everything. And please leave me any feedback in the comments. Thanks, guys.